Now that you've identified your course and enabling learning outcomes, what's next? Hello, I'm Tricia Nolfi, and I'm a facilitator for Lumen Circles. In this video tutorial, I will walk you through the 4 steps of aligning learning objectives to learning resources and activities, and examine how course content is chunked. I will review these 4 steps and provide examples along the way. As you design your course and learning activities, it is recommended that you break down information into smaller, more manageable pieces or chunks. The sizing of the chunks means that the effect on student cognitive load will be reduced, and it creates somewhat of a scaffold for the student to help them concentrate on performing key tasks. This process will help you organize your course and how it is presented in your syllabus and learning management system. So, how do we get started in this process? We start with our learning outcomes that have been articulated on our course map. As an example, for my course, I want to develop learning experience to help the students achieve the course and enabling learning outcomes. And these have been identified on my course map. So how do I get started with developing these experiences? Well, it starts with me asking some key questions. Now that I know what outcomes I'm trying to have the students achieve, I will ask myself 2 critical questions. The first is, what do students need to know? So first, I will think about how the related concepts, ideas, or theories will be presented to the students so that they can understand them. This essential content may be presented as assigned learning resources, such as textbook readings, podcasts, or interactive resources, or as a lecture during a class meeting. Remembering and understanding critical information is the first step for students to achieve mastery. The next question I'll ask myself is, what would be other useful information for the students to know? And this could be material shared with the students once they have reviewed and mastered the required content. Again, this could be presented the same way as the required materials, but may be presented as supplemental resources, such as those provided in a textbook or maybe a video series, or even a library research guide. These 2 questions will help you stay focused on the goals and outcomes of your course as you map out your activities and assessments. These questions are critical if you are developing a new course or revising an existing one. Once I have answered these questions, I can begin to think about learning resources as a way to focus on what students need to know. And as we look at this course map, you can see I'm already starting to chunk the information, considering how it might be presented across my course based upon the order of key concepts students will need to know and how these concepts build upon one another. One way to do this is to examine what unit, module, or week the materials will be covered in and how they will be presented. The learning resources are the first step for students to gain comprehension on a particular topic. As I'm considering my learning resources, I want to explore how different voices and contexts can be presented. So for example, I know that in my course, I am likely to have students from various countries. So I have learning resources from authors outside of the US who can provide different organizational contexts, as well as authors from different genders and racial backgrounds. Taking this step will allow me to examine how different people, organizations, and communities are represented in my course. Once you have started this process, you can start thinking about how you can begin chunking the information into lessons or activities within your units, weeks, or modules. Here, you may want to focus on 1 or 2 key concepts or ideas. In my example, for instance, I am thinking that in the 3rd module, I want to focus on the concept of knowledge management and how organizational learning supports knowledge management. That's my first concept. And then I also want them to focus on the creation, storage, and dissemination of knowledge. That's the 2nd concept. So I have chosen a case study that will be completed in parts, with the practice application component alongside a lecture in class, and then a team component that will be graded. From here, I can begin to construct a learning path for the students. In doing so, I will ensure that the students understand the steps they will need to take to complete the required work for that week, module, or unit in order for them to achieve those learning outcomes. When students have a clear understanding of what they need to do and where to do it and when to do it, they can direct their energies on learning and applying those course concepts. As you work through this chunking process, it can also help you to develop the overviews for each unit, module, week for your course, for the syllabus, and for your learning management system. This is another example how a well-crafted course map and the use of chunking in design can help you connect the dots as you prepare your course for your students. So, how do you communicate this information in written and visual terms for your students? First, you want to be succinct with your descriptions and keep paragraphs short, perhaps no more than 3 to 5 sentences long. You also want to use plain language to describe the purpose of the unit, the assignments, and resource descriptions. Using plain language ensures that your students can understand the information the first time they read it or hear it. You also want to use bullet points or numbered lists to help delineate key points or steps in the process. This is particularly important as you're articulating assignments and assessments, and so that students understand that path that they need to take to complete your expectations and for them to master the content. Finally, you want to provide multiple modes of delivery of that information so that all learner needs are met. So this may include offering key information in both written and visual forms. So that concludes our summary of how you're connecting learning objectives to learning resources, activities, assessments, and how you can chunk your information across your course. I hope you have found this video helpful, and good luck.